Let's get more now from the former Northern Ireland Secretary, Owen Paterson. He joins me now via webcam from Shropshire. And basically the message from Mr Varadkar is, what on earth is going on? How are the Brexit negotiations progressing? Do you have an answer?
Well, good afternoon. I can't hear you, I'm afraid.
Can you hear me now?
There we are, fine, yeah.
Lovely. I was just saying that the Irish Taoiseach is clearly saying there's frustration. We don't seem to know what's going on. The clock is ticking. Do you have an answer to those who are asking what is the government doing when it comes to the negotiating over particularly this issue, the border?
No, you'd have to ask the ministers directly involved in negotiations. But I personally believe these discussions about the border and the worries are greatly exaggerated. There's complete agreement right across the British Isles that, first of all, the common travel area has been an enormous benefit, and everybody wants to see that carry on. And we had a report from both houses of the Irish Parliament proving that well over a year ago. On the border itself, there is already a tax border. There is a different VAT regime, there's a different corporation tax regime. And that carries on, and I don't know a single company that says it's a problem working with a different tax regime on two sides of the border. And if you look at other comparable borders, such as the Canadian, American one, there'll be 10,000 trucks a day going between Canada and the United States, and they will hardly change gear. And those are regarded by the Americans as alien trucks with alien drivers and alien goods. And it's all done electronically. And that can happen now. We have the technology to do this electronically. We have the TIR system, which is going since the 1950s. There's the concept of the authorised economic operator for those who are very regularly crossing the border. And the other point is the vast majority of trade between the Republic of Ireland and the UK is across the Irish Sea. It's not actually north-south. If you take Northern Ireland's sales, about 5% of Northern Ireland's total sales go south over the border. So, I mean, I really do think these issues are exaggerated. What we want, quite obviously, is reciprocal free trade with our neighbours in the European Union. But the suggestion by the Taoiseach that we should somehow stay inside some sort of new customs union, I think is a non-starter, because the 17.4 million people who voted to leave, they voted to leave the internal market of the European Union, known as the single market. They voted to leave the customs union, and above all, they voted to leave the remit of the ECJ. And you'll be under all those if you follow the suggestions of the Taoiseach. So I hope we'll work out the details of the border, how it will be done electronically. I just don't see there are these massive practical problems. And nobody wants to see a hard, difficult, tricky border set up. We want a seamless border, as happens with so many other countries who are in different regimes, such as Canada, United States, Switzerland, all the rest of the European Union. And increasingly, fraught borders like Russia, Finland, or Pakistan, Iran. They are all moving to electronic systems, and we'll move with them.
Well, why do you think, then, in your words, he's exaggerating the difficulties?
Well, we know perfectly well that nearly all the member states, and certainly the governments of the member states, and certainly the political establishments of the member states, did not want the Brexit vote to go the way it did. And he is no exception. The Irish establishment very much would like the United Kingdom to stay within the European Union. Well, we voted to leave, and we will leave, and we want the very best relations with our neighbours. We don't have any closer neighbours than the Republic of Ireland. We've probably got better terms now with the Republic of Ireland for many, many years, and we want to keep that going. So we want to rapidly conclude a reciprocal free trade deal with the European Union and make sure that is all done in a tidy manner so that there are no problems such as he's mentioned. But the problems he's mentioned, I think, are all superable with modern technology.
Owen Paterson, thank you very much for your time. Sorry about the communication difficulties there, but thank you very much for your time, sir.